Dr. Ethan Hayes leaned wearily against the steering wheel as the clock inched past 2 a.m., his mind a haze after 14 relentless hours in the ER. The highway was deserted, moonlight a pale witness to his solitary voyage home. That hush broke with the hiss of brakes as a dark shape bounded into his headlights. An imposing German shepherd, its coat shadowed, eyes gleaming with uncanny urgency. Ethan's heart lurched. The dog stood stock still on the asphalt, neither snarling nor cowering. It simply stared at him, as though wordlessly screaming, "Help me!" Instinct warred with exhaustion. He could keep driving, ignore a stray dog. Yet those eyes held something far more desperate than a lost pet's disorientation. Something that clawed at Ethan's soul and told him he couldn't turn away. What could a canine want in the middle of nowhere? When the shepherd flicked its ears and bolted toward the tree line, glancing back as if to say, "Follow me," Ethan's doctor's instincts overrode his fatigue. He yanked open the car door and plunged into the chill night. Each breath felt heavy in the stagnant air. No rustling leaves or distant wildlife broke the oppressive silence. Then, by chance or fate, Ethan's foot sank into something soft, a small, mud-streaked blue jacket crusted with dried blood. His throat tightened. The dog froze in its tracks, meeting Ethan's eyes with pleading intensity, before turning back toward the woods. "Hurry!" the look said, and without thinking twice, Ethan sprinted after the dog deeper into the forest's black embrace. A faint slice of moonlight revealed a tiny clearing ahead. There, curled under a carpet of brittle leaves, lay a boy no more than 2 years old, motionless. Ethan's flashlight trembled in his hand as he rushed forward, heart hammering. The child's skin was a dull grey beneath smeared dirt, lips chapped and colourless, breath so shallow Ethan feared it might cease at any moment. Kneeling, he pressed his fingers to the boy's wrist, a whisper of a pulse. Then came the softest whimper. Rex, the shepherd, gently rested a massive paw on the boy's back, eyes soft as if buffering his own strength. The scene struck Ethan like a blow. Istorb wasn't just seeking help. He was guarding this child with every fibre of his being. How long had this unfolded unseen, this desperate vigil beneath the trees? Ethan's flashlight beams swept the clearing once more, catching the edge of freshly turned earth. A shallow grave yawned nearby, just large enough for a toddler. The soil clawed up as if by frantic hands. Rage ignited in Ethan's chest. Someone had intended to bury this child alive. He scooped the boy into his arms, wrapping him in his own jacket to share his warmth, then bolted back the way he came. Rex fell into step beside him, every muscle coiled, eyes scanning for unseen watchers. The forest seemed to close in around them as Ethan raced the beetle-cold wind toward his car. Each second a battle against time and fear. The trip back was a blur of spinning wheels and siren lights as Ethan burst into the hospital's emergency bay. The child clutched to his chest. Nurses converged, whisking the boy onto a stretcher as Ethan met the dog's gaze. Rex, caked in mud, refused to budge. When police arrived and scanned Rex's microchip, Ethan's blood ran cold. This was the canine partner of Sergeant Daniel Miller, killed 6 months earlier in a raid. Miller's only son, Nathan, had vanished the night before. The implications slammed into Ethan. Rex had not only found a lost dog, he had found Danny's boy, and he'd come all this way to save him. No sooner had Ethan believed the worst was over than a nurse burst from ER doors, wide-eyed. A white van had crept into the lot, then fled at the sight of police. Minutes later, security footage revealed mud-smeared license plates and faintly an emblem, letters scratched, but recognizable. Detectives linked that same van to an abandoned warehouse beyond town, a ghost of a location where children had gone missing for months. Daniel Miller had been on the brink of exposing a trafficking ring until he died. Now, his son lay fragile on a hospital bed, and the network was still out there, hunting its next victim. In the cramped briefing room, officers huddled over a map. If they waited for a warrant, another child, maybe more, would vanish into that warehouse's shadows forever. "We move now," the lead detective ordered. Ethan glanced at the dog curled at his feet, eyes bright with focus. Rex had traded canine duty for a personal vendetta. This wasn't just police work anymore. It was justice for his handler, and protection for the child he'd never truly left. Without another word, the team geared up for the night raid. Under the cloak of darkness, the tactical unit advanced on the warehouse's side entrance. Rex leading with the confidence of a born predator. Inside, flickering bulbs cast long, skewed shadows across dusty concrete walls and rusted metal shelves. A muffled cry echoed from somewhere beyond. The signal, breach. Doors shattered outward as officers stormed in, rifles raised. A man tried to bar their way with a toppled rack. Rex darted around him, jaws clamping down on the thug's arm with bone-crushing precision. A scream of agony cut through the air as officers secured the perimeter. Deeper in the gloom, two men dragged a terrified child toward the waiting van, only to be met by a single command: stop! One of the captors lunged for a pistol. In the heartbeat before gunfire, Rex launched himself like a bullet, tackling the gunman to the floor and disarming him with ruthless speed. The second man was pinned by officers. Ethan reached the child first, another innocent rescued at the last breath. But as the team cuffed the traffickers, Rex froze, ears pricked toward a shadowed corner. A figure emerged. Marcus Hayes, a crime lord draped in an expensive suit. Confidence radiating like a threat. No warrant, Hayes sneered, hands in pockets. The officers hesitated, guns trained but unspeaking. Hayes wielded power beyond their reach. Rex's lips curled into a silent snarl, a primal promise etched in every tense muscle. Hayes would pay for Miller's death, for Nathan's torment, for innocent lives stolen in the night. The dog who once followed orders now followed a higher calling. Justice, pure and uncompromising. In that charged stillness, Ethan realized this battle was far from over, and neither was Rex's hunt. Rex's growl rumbled through the warehouse like distant thunder, each note vibrating off the concrete walls. Marcus Hayes froze, the confidence draining from his posture as he realized this was no mere police raid. This was personal vengeance incarnate. Ethan stepped forward, adrenaline sharpening his voice. Drop the smirk, Hayes. This ends tonight. Hayes's gaze flicked to the child Ethan still cradled, then back to the dog whose silent fury could scorch steel. He raised slow, deliberate hands, too slow. In an instant, Vex lunged, a coiled spring releasing with brutal precision. Hayes stumbled backward, crashing into a metal shelving unit that groaned under his weight. Papers and dusty crates toppled, dust motes swirling like angry spirits in the flashlight beams. Police! Hands where we can see them, the lead officer barked. But Rex needed no backup. He stood over Hayes, teeth bared, eyes aflame with a year's worth of grief and loyalty. Ethan heard something crack. A bone? Or the final shattering of Hayes' impunity? The criminal's swagger was gone, replaced by a hollow terror. Moments later, Hayes lay cuffed and huddled, the weapon he brandished skittering across the floor. Rex lowered his head, nostrils flaring as he sniffed the collar around Hayes' neck. Sergeant's blood, guilt, thicker than any badge. Ethan exhaled, the tension unspooling like rope. He gently placed Nathan against Rex's side. The dog nuzzled his tiny shoulder, anointed guardian restored. Outside, the night air tasted of rain yet to fall, heavy with relief and the promise of justice. Ethan watched as paramedics prepared Nathan for transfer. The boy's eyelids fluttered, a faint life stirring. Rex padded beside them, every step a silent vow. No predator would ever threaten this child again. In the aftermath, news of the bust would ripple through the force. One dog's unbreakable loyalty exposing a trafficking ring and avenging a fallen hero. But Ethan knew better than to let the moment slip into legend alone. Kneeling, he pressed a hand to Rex's mud-caked flank. "Thank you, old friend," he murmured. "You saved us all." Above, a single shaft of moonlight pierced the warehouse's broken roof, illuminating Rex's silhouette as he stared toward the future, ever watchful, ever ready. And somewhere beneath that silver glow, Nathan dreamt of heroes in fur coats and the warmth of a love that conquers darkness itself.